Stephen Allen is with me now, comedian and broadcaster. Just to let you know that my siblings are Andrew, James, David and Claire, so I'm the only one with a weird name. But Steve, talking of weird names, there's about 4 of you.
That's true. That's why I've got the N in the middle as well. Oh, let's be honest. Steve Allen is the blandest name any human has ever been given, so I had to do something to make me Googleable.
And it is now is wonderful. Steve, let's have a look at Donald Trump. Already this year, the US is locked, loaded and ready to intervene with the Iranian protests. Do we think there is any coincidence that just before Christmas, Benjamin Netanyahu was there with him in the White House and they were talking about how Iran is potentially rearming? Do we see any correlation there?
Oh, definitely. And also, Donald Trump is the recipient of the Israel Prize as well, so I'm sure that helps. And look, I don't want to be harsh. I think there are 2 types of Trump derangement syndrome. People who think everything he does is wrong, people who think everything he does is right and needs to be defended even if it's tweeting kefefi for some reason.
Yeah.
And clearly the truth is in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
Even though you might not like Trump for various reasons or you love him, this is a thing where hopefully he will be a force for good. And yes, he seems to be often swayed by the last conversation he has, which is not a great thing when it comes to the Russia situation. But in this one, it might not be a bad thing. If the little trinket of the Israel Prize and also the FIFA Prize for being best guy or whatever he wins there, if that motivates him to try and get involved in some of these issues, good. Because pre-election, we heard he was very much non-interventionist, not getting involved in these forever wars, which, there's a strong argument there as well. But when a situation needs a little bit of world policing, there's only really America that can do it. So if he does get involved, look, as long as you're on the same page, this is the page I'm on, you'd like there to be an uprising in Iran to try and sort out the last uprising. Do you know what I mean? The last revolution probably needs a bit of correction. So if he does get involved, great. I think it's probably more noise than actual action because the MAGA base doesn't want America to be involved. Certainly not troops on the ground, boots on the ground, that phrase, because that way you end up having an American casualties. If this is just air stuff, then I think he gets away with it. I mean, he did manage to sell Venezuela quite well to the base by changing it from being about intervening in a foreign country to the war on drugs. I just don't think you can manage to square that circle especially with it being the Middle East. There's no way he wants to try and get America involved in a war in the Middle East because all of this, it's the Bush era stuff all over again that he wanted to get away from.
I just wonder, whenever I see this kind of comment, it's like, who do you bomb? Where do you bomb? And that's what's sort of making me lean more towards the fact that it could be munitions places or places that have already been identified as there being a sort of rebuilding of weaponry, which Trump has already said he wouldn't accept.
Yeah, there are also factories apparently that are building some really advanced drones as well. If they know the locations of those, these are places that
I
could
wonder
and
if
maybe
this
should
is
be
cover
hit.
for that.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yes, yeah, to get people on board before it's even happened. Yeah, I mean, it very much could be, but maybe I've just been convinced by it. It seems like a good thing to do. Yeah.
I mean, certainly getting rid of the supreme leader would be a good, although we can't affect regime change, but certainly the people of Iran want him gone, right?
Yes, that's the thing. It would be like helping the people of Iran to rise up when they are being oppressed from the things we've seen. That story of the woman who took off the
disgusting.
Burqa and I thought that was going to be the tipping point.
That was in 22, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it looked like things were moving in the right direction. There were protests, and you think, well, if enough people, if there's the critical mass of people who stand up against the government, you will get change. But I guess, it went away, that story, just as you say, 2022, 3 years late.
I did think at the time that was the point at which the West could have helped and really, really achieved what the people of Iran wanted. Because Iran was such a powerful, forward-looking, westernized society. Before the Supreme Leader, the Ayatollah, was in charge. I mean, and it was like in the 70s and the 80s. It was incredible. And they've taken
those
it
pictures,
right back
don't you?
Yeah,
you see them online, the memes of people just hanging out in the 70s and then, a handful of years later, how oppressed they are. So, look, I hope some way, whichever way, whether Trump's involved or not, you hope the people manage to rise up and bring about the change that they want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. this story here, the change that a lot of people want to see, particularly in the beginning of January, is weight loss. And gone are the days where you had to starve yourself and go to the gym. Apparently now all you have to do is inject. Nice little injection. These are the weight loss jabs. But because they're so expensive now, a lot of people are turning to buy these jabs. They're injecting into their bodies stuff they're buying from places like TikTok.
It is the stupidest thing I've seen in ages.
Unbelievable.
Quite often, you get stories saying, like, you know, that people have been impacted, the side effects, the deaths, and then you read the story, and it's not that they've bought the actual drug,
no.
They've bought some shady knockoff from the internet. So literally, the drug we're talking about, I can't remember the fancy names for them, but they're not the ones linked to the problem.
GLP-1s, aren't they? The GLP-1
yeah, all those.
suppressants.
But it's not that that's being injected in the dodgy ones. So all of these stories of people buying moody stuff offline. Why? Because it's a bit like people are saying, I'd love to go to the doctors to get my medicine, but they're a bit busy, so I'm going to get it off someone on the internet who's asking Grok to put them in a bikini. I mean, the social influencers are not to be trusted. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't even do it with dentistry. Do you know what I mean? You wouldn't say that I can't get an NHS dentist, but there's someone who did a funny dance on TikTok, I'll let them have a go in my mouth. So why would you trust injecting something into your body? So I feel sorry for the weight loss drugs. They're getting the bad name because people don't have the right sense to not buy stuff off TikTok shop. It
is really quite extraordinary, and I wonder. I mean, you look at people who are desperate, right? And I'm talking about people who are living with obesity, perhaps type 2 diabetes around the corner, and they want that help and support, but they're not getting it from their GP. They're not getting it from the NHS. They then turn to one of the proper pharmacies, and they're saying that it can cost £200, £300 per month to have this jab. People are already in debt. People have gone into debt buying them the right way. So it's almost, I mean, it is the most ridiculous thing you can do. It's so stupid. It's like buying any drugs online just through some random, you know, Indian pharmacy or whatever. I wouldn't trust them at all. But I can see why people think that's an option.
But it doesn't pass the sniff test, does it? Of, like, do you trust this thing that you're injecting into yourself to have, like, traceability, that this is the correct chemical? Because that's what it comes down to. If this is the wrong chemical, it's going to do you harm. If it's the right chemical, it might help.
It's like going to a drug dealer, isn't it? And expecting a clean drug, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose. But somehow it feels even worse because it feels like the drug dealers, at least they somehow know what they're doing. You know you're buying something that's bad for you. I suppose that's what I'm thinking. You go to a drug dealer, you know you're buying bad stuff, whereas you go into someone who's an influencer. Why would you trust them to do anything?
Honestly, it absolutely defies logic. But I can also see that there are people desperate, and maybe it's a lot of young people, I would have thought, going through TikTok shop, maybe?
I don't know. I can't help but think that people who are genuinely desperate, genuinely having the level of body mass index that would qualify you for NHS help, that they'll get the help. That, you know, that's our system is set up, and West Streeting wants to, like, roll it out more to get more people back in work. That if you are that, because there's two different ones. There is your weight is causing you a medical problem, and for that I do think this is a great treatment. We've spent decades saying, if only there was a pill that helped you lose weight. Well, it's not quite a pill yet. So maybe it is good if you're impacting your health by being that large, use some drugs to get you not that large. But if you are just someone who wants to trim up because you've had a big Christmas, then you're being an idiot in all directions.
Yeah. In fact, I have to report that Wegovy has now created a pill form. It's just passed its first stage of daily pill.
Oh, right.
It's just passed its first stage of whatever it's called.
Crush that up and put it in a creme brulee and I'll have it.
Yeah, exactly. You wouldn't even know. Just shove it in there. You just suddenly go, I'm not hungry. Children to be vaccinated against chickenpox for the first time. Now, you're obviously a good deal younger than I am, but I remember having chickenpox, and it was not very nice at all.
Yeah, I had it when I was really young, actually. I can point to the scar that I've still got from it.
Yeah, we've all got a mother spot, right? It's called isn't it called the mother spot?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know the name
the
for
first one that comes up normally is the one that you scar with.
Oh, right, yeah, mine was, up there. Yeah. Although I've got another one on my arm as well, but I'm not getting that out. What kind of a show is this? So I've got two kids, and I've had them both done. We paid privately, just because I remember, it's a scary thing. Because you don't want scars. It's the thing when it's in your system, it comes back later as shingles, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember my dad had that as well.
Yeah.
But look, this is being offered. It's not being. This is the problem now. The V word is so linked to what happened during COVID. I know I've brought it up as a topic, but it's kind of in our heads, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being offered a vaccine is a world apart from being coerced into it. No one should be forced into having it. You should always have the right to get it if you want. So yeah, I'm kind of in favour of this move.
Yeah, I am too. I think it's absolutely brilliant. And of course, shingles vaccines are being offered to older people. So that's sort of both ends of the spectrum there, of the most vulnerable people with this disease, because the shingles is absolutely awful. But it is interesting, and I always think to myself, there are mothers in other parts of the world that would walk for days and days and days to get their child a vaccine, and yet in the sort of middle classes here, it's like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. I just find it very interesting that there are people who know how incredible vaccines have been for the human population and would do anything to get their kid vaccinated.
You're getting into my deep theories now. There's two things. One is that I think some people don't have the family memories of people who've been impacted by stuff. I think a few generations ago, people had relatives who were left blind after measles or things like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
When that goes from the memory, it changes the way you look at it. And to get a bit trolley cart problem on this, the trolley cart dilemma of would you pull the handle to move a train that then goes from killing one people to 5 people to 1. People prefer to do the passive action so you don't feel blame from it. So given a choice about not getting a vaccine, and if a disease comes along and it impacts your children, you are passive in that, so you don't necessarily feel the same blame as you would if you were active in getting a vaccine that causes your children problems. So part of our human psyche prefers to do the my hands on this. And that's why I think it's very easy to then think, oh, I will not get vaccines for my kids in case there's a risk there, in comparison to the disease, which isn't your fault if it comes along.
Yeah, and of course herd immunity is absolutely vital, especially for kids of school age. Steve, been a real pleasure. Thank you very much indeed. I hope we get to do it again in 2026. Steve N. Allen there, comedian and broadcaster. Quick break, back.